Alright, we're reviewing Green Lantern. I really didn't want to watch this again. I really didn't want to. Jesus. No. Ryan Reynolds is just not Hal Jordan. Not even close. Not by a mile. Oh man, they should have gone with somebody else. This really though, I mean, this really should have been written another way. But when you're dealing with Ryan Reynolds, it's highly likely that a lot of the lines were improvised, and because the dude's he always brings his comedic aspect to the role. I mean, you don't cast Ryan Reynolds without knowing what you're aiming for. So I don't know if the problem really falls on Ryan Reynolds in this one, but they really should have went with like a David Boyans type. In here, Hal Jordan is just a douchebag. He causes people to lose their jobs, and then the first time he like uses the ring, it's to defend himself against those people that are mad and attacking him. Uh, yes, and then the ring decides it's gonna take him to Oa for training. Oh man, it's just wow, just wow. Ryan Reynolds, Hal Jordan. Okay, Hal Jordan's got daddy issues, and he grows up to be a douchebag, like a hotshot, selfish, you know, reckless, careless douchebag. And all the Oa stuff, all the stuff on once he's got the ring and goes up to Oa, all that stuff is pretty good. And all that stuff would have really, really been interesting. But it isn't very long. And the costume, the Green Lantern costume, is absolutely terrible. That's no secret. That absolutely horrible decision to go full on CGI, and man, it looked bad. It looked really bad, which is sad because a lot of the other CGI stuff on Oa and the aliens themselves, they look pretty good. I mean, Kilowog didn't look that great to me, but Sinestro and the rest, they looked pretty great. Oa looked pretty great. The Guardians looked pretty great. Green Lantern suit, Jesus. So he gets into training. Once he gets the ring, and there's a lot of exposition in this film. There's a lot of setting up things that really take its time. And uh, when it comes down to it, though, he gets the ring, he gets his suit, he gets beamed up, he starts to get his training, and very quickly into his training, he gives up because Sinestro comes in all angry, you know, angry about the loss of his friend and taking out on this guy. But you have to remember the ring honored the friend by choosing this guy. I don't know why, because he's a douchebag. But uh, the ring, he after getting butthurt about Sinestro picking on him, he decides, you know what, I give up. I give up. I quit. I'm going back to Earth. And God, and so the villain too, is just he's supposed to be an expert on aliens, but they've never had any aliens, and so how's he supposed to be an expert? And there's just God, and the villain is terrible. I mean, he just starts like attacking people because he can read what they're thinking about him or whatever, and he just starts attacking people out of jealousy, and he just wants to be everything that Ryan Reynolds is apparently. Um, and Ryan Reynolds isn't that great. Like, come on, yeah, sure. He isn't that great. Sure, he's got a good career, and people compliment him and praise him for where he's gotten with it and stuff like that. But he's not great. He gives up on his training very fast, which is a problem later on when Kilowog is all boasting about how he trains the best. Like you barely trained him, dude. So when he starts bragging about, when they start to be bragging about Kilowog, how he trains the best, he has only the best training or whatever. It's ridiculous. So the main villain, uh, all the stuff with the yellow talking about fear and Parallax or however you pronounce his name, all that stuff's set up pretty nicely, except this villain doesn't belong here. This villain is on the level of a god. This isn't the villain you go with on your first movie. Of course, they have that smaller villain, which is Mr. Big Head All Butthurt, about Ryan Reynolds having everything and he wants the girl and he wants the ring, and Ryan Reynolds tricks him into thinking he gets the ring and sees that, well, he just offered this dude to have it all, and this dude's still trying to go with. Oh, but God, this movie's just bad. I mean, all the stuff on Oa in space, that's set up very nicely and that's very interesting. If we would have kept it like galactic and interstellar, if we would have kept it, you know, because we're all familiar with Earth. Come on, man, this isn't what we want to see. We're getting the Green Lantern Corps, we're getting Oa, and Oa looks beautiful. Oa, the, the Guardians, there's so many Green Lanterns, and it's all great stuff. But they just condemn us to Earth. We're earthbound, where we got Ryan Reynolds admitting that he's just afraid and he needs to overcome. He can't overcome his fear, and his ex is arguing with him about it. And there are some interesting things in here, though, like Amanda Waller popping up as if they thought this was going to perform well, and maybe she would lead into expanding the universe. But Jesus, this movie is bad. Even Ryan Reynolds makes fun of this movie, especially in Deadpool. Uh, CGI costume was a terrible, terrible choice. The And it's kind of funny that Mask, she's like, you think I won't recognize you with that little mask or whatever? Like, I've seen you naked and all that. So that was pretty funny. I like that part specifically. But a lot of the powers Ryan Reynolds used, like the racetrack when he tries to stop people from being killed by this crashing helicopter. Uh, yeah, Green Lanterns are supposed to be imaginative, but that just felt really corny, cheesy, and silly. It does actually set up Sinestro in this one to end up being the bad guy for a sequel that's never gonna happen. No, not in a million years. Sinestro was done really, really well, but to have this villain, this big time god level villain in the first film, how are you supposed to top that? And you made him a damn space cloud, just like Galactus. That didn't work before. Why did they think it would work then? Yeah. They get several things wrong too about the characters. Like Hal Jordan. Hal Jordan is this very courageous, willfully strong dude. Uh, and the Guardians are these really, really wise beings. And when Hal Jordan comes up there talking about, you know, we don't need to be afraid anymore. I need your guys' help or whatever. I need you to help me save Earth, my planet, or whatever. And nobody helps him. It's just, I really can't say anything good about this movie, honestly. I did like it when he used the fist to punch those guys that were jumping him. That looked cool. And when Hal Jordan's leading, what do you call it, Parallax, or however you pronounce his name, into space. I guess that final battle, that's okay. That's slightly interesting. It's hard. It's really hard to get past the CGI costume, though. That any scene Hal Jordan is in, like, it's really hard to get past that terrible, terrible costume, that terrible decision to make it CGI. I just can't. There's a few good scenes. I'll give it that. There's a few good scenes on the setup of Boa and the Green Lantern Corps. All that's great and all that's nice. If it would have got a sequel, the sequel would have definitely surpassed this one because they were trying to go with a much smaller villain so they could obviously build into a franchise. But you could have gone with just tons of different things. You could have gone with like the Manhunters. There's just so much you could have done with Green Lantern, and to go this route, it's just really bad choice. I really like the animated movies. They do a much better job at setting up like Green Lantern origins. So obviously check those out if you want to see Green Lantern done right. Check those out. But this movie, man, this movie, man, is bad. It's terrible. Ryan Reynolds is just a shameless person for participating in this, but he does rag on himself, so that kind of, redeems him. But this movie is just bad. It's really bad. But it's not as bad as, you know, there's there's a lot of bad comic book movies, and I'm not gonna say this is as bad as some of them. Some people will like give X-Men movies a high score, despite the fact that they're completely fucking ridiculous. And then they'll go and rag on this movie. The rag on this movie, but those X-Men movies are pretty bad in themselves. I mean, you got Wolverine pretty much. They're pretty much all Wolverine movies, except for the First Class and, if you, well, in Age of Apocalypse. I think those are the only two, but like the there's just a lot of bad comic book movies, and some people will rag heavily on other ones while they praise them. I don't get it. Anyways, this movie is bad. 4 out of 10. Or actually, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 10. I do really like the OS stuff, the world building, the aliens, all the Green Lantern Corps, all that stuff they did. They did somewhat accurately pass on the ring to Hal Jordan, as in the comic books. But just the way he gives up so easy and he's all afraid. That's just not Hal Jordan. Um, 3 out of 10. Like, subscribe, ring that notification bell. I'm not monetized. If you want to support my channel, check out my GoFundMe. Check out my PayPal me link. Uh, and just uh, hit that like though to promote my videos. It brings awareness to my channel. Thanks for viewing. Stay awesome. Rock on.